Hey YouTube, Eyes here, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. Since I managed to solo queue all the way from bronze to diamond in season 15, I figured to kick off the new year, I'd like to share some tips with everyone on what I did and just my overall thinking process that I applied during my ranked games. Now, I don't expect this video to be groundbreaking for most of you guys. There's a lot better players out there who have way better guides and tips on climbing. If you just hit level 20 and are about to start your ranked journey, or you've been playing for a while and you're looking for that final piece of the puzzle to hit the rank you always wanted, I will be genuinely happy even if one of these 10 tips helps you in your ranked games. Last but not least, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get on with tip number 1. Now the first tip might be very obvious to a lot of players, but I cannot stress how important it is to do before you queue up for ranked, and that is to warm up. This can be achieved in various ways. If you're a controller player like myself, I strongly recommend you go into the firing range and take at least 10 to 15 minutes and practice your aim with weapons you find yourself consistently using when you play. Keyboard mouse players, you have more tools to your disposal for warming up your aim prior to queuing up. You have aim trainers like 𝗟𝗩𝗪 and Kovacs available where you can have routines dedicated to Apex and many other games. However, I do still recommend going into the shooting range as well. I personally feel it's important to get a feel of the game before queuing up. Tip number 2 is one that I unfortunately see not only in Apex Legends, but other competitive games as well. And that's players losing confidence and faith with Legends they have many hours with and enjoy playing and switching to what's meta in the current season. In my opinion, playing what you enjoy and are comfortable with will always be better than playing with what is objectively good during that specific season. For example, if you check season 15 legend tier lists, some tier lists have lifeline relatively low in comparison to other legends. Funny thing is, Lifeline was my first main and I actually found success with her in Platinum Elo. I even have 2 videos showing this, link will be in the description. If you're suddenly not finding success with the legend you're always playing as, it's not the legend, it's you. There's another aspect of your gameplay that needs improvement, and switching to a meta legend you've never played as before won't solve that issue. This one might be difficult for some of you watching, but I think doing this in any variation will benefit your team regardless, and that's communicating with your teammates. Now, I understand, not everyone watching this video likes to use voice comms or is comfortable using them. However, I've had teammates who have only typed in chat during ranked games and absolutely killed it with the information they were able to provide for my teammate and me through pings and typing out vital information between gunfights. Anything from your current actions of pushing, falling back, healing, to enemy location, health, and if they use their ultimate or not will go a long way for you and your teammates on how to proceed with the gunfight. And please don't say an enemy is one shot when they're not actually one shot. If you crack an enemy's shields, they're not one shot. If you want a safer alternative that won't bait your teammates, just say they're flesh after you crack the enemy shields. Tip number 4 strongly pertains to the previous one about communication with your teammates, and that's sticking together with randoms that you had a good experience with. Now, I don't mean joining an Apex Legends Discord server or subreddit to find 2 other teammates to queue up with, but while solo queuing, you just happen to have 2 other random teammates who you mesh with very well, and win or lose, you have a good experience with them. After the game, ask your teammates if they'd be willing to queue up for some more games. You'll actually be very surprised how many people actually say yes if you propose the idea. And speaking from personal experience, this is one of the best ways to maximize RP gains in a single session of Apex. I believe number 5 is the best way to climb in ranked, especially in higher elo, and that is to try to get early kill participation as soon as you land with your squad at the specific location. It may seem intimidating, but dropping in the same location as another squad or squads is the best way to climb. If you're able to land in a spot where you know you can loot more, thus increasing your chances of getting a weapon you're comfortable with and coordinating with your teammates, you'll be able to secure 2, maybe even 3 KP at the very beginning of the game. In doing so, you'll be able to play the remainder of the game a lot more passively, not being required to fight other teams as you watch your RP gains multiply with every single higher placement you're able to achieve with your team. And yes, it won't always go your way and you will lose RP doing this from time to time, but you have to believe me when I say that in the long run, it will benefit you as a player, as situations like this will force you to adapt to intense scenarios that will teach you on how to play smarter, which you will then be able to apply to future ranked games. These next 3 tips all have a common theme among them, and that's game sense. Now, tip number 6 is one that I personally take to heart, that being positioning and game sense being more important than your mechanics and your ability to 1v1 or even 1v2 successfully. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're able to consistently 1v2 in ranked, then kudos to you, because that's something I myself struggle to do. However, playing the map smart and positioning yourself with your team in a way where you have the advantage will almost always be the superior approach to gunfights instead of just W keying and aping every single team that you see. For any Star Wars fans out there, you probably have heard of this one. Surprisingly enough, not a lot of my random teammates actually focused on this tip and aspect of gameplay that I believe will almost give you the advantage all the time in any gunfight. That, of course, is prioritizing height. Most of the time, when you and your teammates have height advantage, it usually goes pretty well for everyone. Shooting down on something will always be easier than fighting an uphill battle where not only do you have to push the team that has a better position than you due to height, but you have to somehow successfully trade with them and not get downed in the process. Whereas if you have a higher position, all you have to do with your teammates is rain down a flurry of bullets and you should be able to get some knocks. The final tip regarding game sense is one that I consistently find myself doing during my ranked games, especially this season with the new map Broken Moon, is thinking twice about third-partying a gunfight between 2 teams. Broken Moon has introduced the player base to zip rails, which basically allow for a faster paced game due to the ability to rotate quicker with this new mechanic. Because of this, it's important to not only have information on the 2 teams fighting, but also your surroundings and make sure there aren't 1 or 2 more teams just like yours waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike as you watch the kill feed to see if anyone has been downed. I cannot stress this enough because the number of times I've been 4th partied or even 5th partied is more than I'd like to admit. The next tip might be frowned upon by some players, but I personally think it is something you just need to do, especially when you're solo queuing, and that's ratting. Now, I don't mean rat all the time in every game. This isn't Season 12 when you're able to hit Diamond without firing a single bullet because placement RP gains were just so good. I mean, in situations where maybe your team and you weren't on the same page, or you thought that the plan that you were committed to wasn't a good one. If both your teammates are down and the entire enemy team is still standing, don't try to be the hero and revive or recover their banners. Try your best to run from the enemy team and hide for the remainder of the game. You might get some nasty comments or messages from your teammates, but if it means negating the damage caused by as much as you can, then do it. Same goes for the flip side. If you're dead and your respawn timer ran out, instead of disconnecting right away just to queue up for another game, see if your last standing teammate can possibly get high placements to negate the RP loss or even turn it into a positive and actually gain little RP. The final tip is a very important one in my eyes and is one that isn't just applicable in Apex Legends, but any competitive game with a ranking system as well. Your rank doesn't define you. I see and read about so many people stressing out about playing ranked due to losing RP or even worse, demoting. One important thing you have to keep in mind is that no one actually cares if you lose a game or if you demote. The worst thing that happens when you lose or demote is just that. You lose or demote. You have to remember that in order to climb, you have to adapt to the new, more difficult challenges that await you in that rank. Like the saying goes, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We all individually work and learn at different paces, and there's no reason you should be comparing your success to the success of another individual who maybe is a higher rank. Keep on grinding, your rank doesn't define you, who you are as a person, and most importantly, learn what you can do differently and improve as a player.